So, start with our typical question. Is there any update on Jacob DeGrom?
He's doing fine. He's not going to throw today. That's just because he doesn't need to. You know, he threw yesterday, and so he'll be back out there throwing tomorrow. So he's making, you know, his the normal progress that we thought he would be at this point. So he'll take another pin. What Saturday, Friday or Saturday? I got my notes on my desk, but I got a few guys I got to keep up with right now.
Yeah.
But he's doing fine.
So, tomorrow's Friday, Saturday. So it's the next time he throws. Is that going to be a live, or is that supposed to
No,
still be on the
right now it's a pin. Yeah.
I know it's March 2nd, so we're a little early to start talking about who's made the team and who's not. But obviously, you know, Seager's on, Simeon's on. There are guys that are on the team. In the bullpen, are there guys that are like, we check that box, they're on the team? I assume like Leclerc would be one of those guys. How many, basically what I'm asking is how many spots are there up for grabs?
Wow, I can't give you an exact number. I mean, we have a lot of pretty good candidates in that bullpen, and we're going to have some tough decisions. You know, from the left and right side. So, you know, I wish I could give you a definite answer. I can't. You know, it's going to be competitive. You know, this spring on a couple spots. I'll say that, and we have some good candidates, but don't have it down yet. There's nothing etched in stone as far as this bullpen, the roles. You know, who's going to be down there. I think you know you can figure out some that will, but you know we're going to look at these guys, and that's why they're in camp. You know, if we had it already figured out, then a lot of guys wouldn't be here.
Did we come to a resolution with Leclerc?
He's not going to the WBC, if that's what you're asking.
That's fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, he is not going. You know, just that little thing going on with the neck, and it's not. I don't think it'd be wise to send him when he's not quite 100%. He understood. He wanted to you know represent his country, but he also understands. You know, this is where he works, and how bad we need him, and that's the last thing we want to do is send somebody that's not quite 100%.
You had mentioned that Lowe, Simeon, Seager, and Garcia were one of the best front four of the American League. I wanted to ask you to expand on that a little bit, specifically in Garcia, some of the characteristics that you like on him.
Yeah, and what I was saying, if you look at our first four hitters, I think we match up with you know the other clubs, the good clubs, the really good clubs. That's how much I think of them, and it's a group that you know we have speed, you know, a guy that has a knack of you know using the whole field, getting his base hit, getting on base. You got Corey, a big threat there, and Lowe really emerges as one of the better hitting first basemen. He got the Silver Slugger, so you know he that's a good option there. And Dolly Garcia, I mean, he's just a very dangerous cleanup hitter, which is what you want in that spot. And so you know, and there's some speed there too, and so it's going to be a group I think that's going to be consistent and giving us runs. That's what we're counting on now. I don't want to leave out the other guys, you know, Mitch and Jonah. You know, behind the plate, we got some run producers there. Robbie Grossman, he's looked great. They got a switch hitter, so I think our lineup has more depth to it than probably what y'all had last year.
But you didn't see Smith play shortstop yesterday, but you've seen him play shortstop. Last year he played 20 some odd starts at third base, 20 some odd starts in left field, and hit 5 at short. Not a lot of guys at that age have been asked to come to the big leagues and play that many positions in the infield and outfield. I know you weren't here last year, but how much of a burden is that for a young player?
It can be, some guys enjoy it. They enjoy bringing a bunch of gloves to the dugout, and some I think they have a tougher time on handling that. But it's really, especially, I think the game's changed where you're trying to get more versatility, more flexibility with these guys on the bench, and so you can get them out there more. They become more valuable to you because you can rest guys everywhere and feel comfortable with, Smitty going in that spot. And before the spring's over, I plan on playing them pretty much at every position, including first base, and maybe not center or right, but he could be out there too, because you never know, and you got to be prepared, for anything, and he's a guy that helps you be prepared for that because he's your best option when you look at the role players that we have.
All right, so with all that, like last year, and he said when I talked to him, that all those positions didn't have any impact on my offense. My offense was a separate thing. And I expect a young player to tell me that. But I also know from my time around the game that it seems like it's almost inevitable that guys would carry that over. Trying to juggle all that stuff to the offense. Do you feel like that might have had an impact on it?
You know what? That's fair. I think it might have. I don't know for sure. I'm getting to know Smitty, but I do think, the more you do it, the more confident you get. Hey, I've done it now. You can do it again, and probably will be more at ease or relaxed. Moving around a lot. He knows that's going to be his role. That's the most important thing for these role players is to understand what your role is, and once you do that, I think you become better at it. And so he's going to know that he's going to be our most versatile player, and the guy that we will be moving around, including this spring.
Is he going to lead the team in spring plate appearances? Because I can get that money down at FanDuel. Right?
Yeah, you know what? It's going to be close. And there's a few guys that I want to probably ramp up their plate appearances, but he's going to be up there.
Bruce, yesterday, I think it was Foscue, I forget who was pitching for the Dodgers. Foscue used his timeout, and I think the next pitch, the pitcher came set early and got Foscue in the box ready to go and just milked the clock. And almost, I don't know if it froze him, but is that a strategy you guys have discussed if a hitter has used their one timeout, trying to take advantage of that?
Yeah, it's going to be a strategy, I think, for a lot of pitchers in the game. Once that hitter uses that timeout, now, the pitcher's got his weapon, that's hold the ball. And you saw what he did yesterday, and held it pretty long one time. And so we've talked to the hitters about this, and, they need to make sure they don't get in too early, because a lot of these pitchers are going to want to come set early and say, hey, you got some time, and don't get set in there and have to call timeout too early. We're going to do it. Some pitchers aren't comfortable doing it, coming up and holding the ball as long as he did. I've had pitchers that as soon as they come set, they got to go. I'm a pace guy. I want my guy out there in a good pace, a good rhythm. I think that helps their command. But it's pretty obvious that kid, he did a nice job, and he threw a pretty nasty pitch too from it. So he's comfortable doing it, and he realizes that's a weapon. I've heard Scherzer talk about that. The hitter calls timeout. He's got that in his back pocket now, where he can hold the ball as long as he wants until the end of the clock.
So if a batter calls timeout, uses the timeout, the clock resets to 30. If there's a runner on base, the clock resets to 30, right?
No, are you talking about if he's on base? No, it goes back to 20.
To 20.
Yeah.
And so the pitcher can hold that for 19 seconds.
Well, no, he still has his time to get in, with 8 seconds. But that's the point. Don't get in too early, because what Foscue was doing, he's in there so early, so the pitcher, had more time to hold the ball on him. So, you can limit it a little bit on how long he can hold the ball. But if you get set with 15 seconds to go, that's a long time, the pitcher holding the ball. But he can't he can't quick pitch either. So so he can get in there, but if he's not looking at the pitcher, he can't throw the ball just because he's in the box.
Where does Sandy Leone